Well, here we are, JFK once again. There is so much extraordinary progress being made right now, so I could not be happier to be back here, right here and now. So I want to acknowledge some of our leaders of our community, people that I've come to know for many, many years now, starting with our Congressman, Greg Meeks. Thank you, Greg Meeks, for your leadership in Washington, in your district, but also working with the advisory committee here to make sure that we do all the right things. And so thank you. Let's give another round of applause to Greg Meeks. Donovan Richards, our borough president, the dynamic duo here. You have to tag team to come up against me, don't you? That's how it's got to be. All right. But we have been great partners working together, and I thank both of you for all you do. But Donovan Richards, I come out of local government. I have an affinity for local government, and you've been a great champion as well. Rick Cotton needs no introduction. His name, I just said, I think Robert Caro, he's done writing books about people like past icons who built infrastructure, kept building and doing great things, but you really have made a mark. You made contributions that will be talked about way beyond our time, and I'm grateful to have your service, your partnership, and your friendship. Let's give a huge round of applause to Rick Cotton, our Executive Director. Kevin O'Toole, the Chairman of the Port Authority. Kevin, thank you for our cross-boundary friendship and relationships and your stewardship of this great organization, leading us into great projects as well. So I thank you, Kevin O'Toole. Let's give another round of applause. Our partners in this project, you'll be hearing from George Casey, the CEO of Vantage Airport Group. We've seen him at many of our events. Robin Hayes, the CEO of JetBlue Airways. Finally got to see Robin in person. We've been communicating over remote means for the last couple of years, and so great to see you here, and thank you for your commitment to this community and to this state. It's extraordinary. Scott Reckler, the chair and CEO of RXR, thank you for your belief in this project and bringing it all the way to where we are today. Secretary Henry Cisneros, the chairman of American III. I want to say I've known Secretary since he was the secretary under Bill Clinton. And what you did at HUD was nothing short of extraordinary. I was a staffer on Capitol Hill, just a little bit younger than you maybe, not a whole lot. But I always watched your great work on how you tried to lift up our cities and our communities. And so thank you for your lifetime of public service as well, Secretary Henry Cisneros. Helena Williams here is our CEO of JFK Millennium Partners. Thank you, Helena, for all your contributions. And this doesn't get built by the faint of heart. These are major, major important projects, and we have nothing but the best, hardest working workforce in the world today, led by Gary LaBarbera, the president of the building trades, construction trades here in New York. Gary, thank you. Thank you. It's not an exaggeration to say that the last 14 months have been among the most dramatic and transformational in the history of JFK. It was 75 years ago that President Truman was here for the first flight. At the time, it was known as Idlewild. And you don't have to ask why, because I think JFK was still in the military back then, commandeering PT-109 or whatever he was doing back then. So he was not, that's why it wasn't called JFK in the beginning. I think we recognize that. But 75 years ago, President Truman. And what we've done since that time is nothing short of extraordinary in the short few months. What have we done? December 2021, we broke ground on a $1.5 billion expansion at Terminal 4. Last September, we broke ground on a $9.5 billion new Terminal 1. And now, just a few months later, here we are. Another milestone continuing JFK's domination among the world's premier airports. I said that, and therefore it is now true. So let's lean into that story, because I believe in that. This is a place people want to come, and this is truly the a place of first impressions. And all the work we're doing here, those first impressions are going to be nothing but incredible. So we're not just dreaming big thoughts, we're doing big things. And we also want to mark the fact that it takes a lot to raise the steel, pour the concrete, to do exactly. So as I mentioned, Gary LaBarbera, organized labor is the linchpin to getting this done, Gary. And the work that's being done, the work that was done during the pandemic to keep us on path, this is also part of your legacy. Over 4,000 jobs, 1,800 good-paying union jobs. That's how we change people's lives. We give them the training, you give them the dignity of that work. And to all the workforce, thank you for making us all so proud. But it's an airport, yes, but it's also an economic engine supporting over 280,000 jobs, $17 billion in annual wages. It is truly the nation's leading airport for international visitors and key to our tourism industry. And we know what happened during the pandemic. It was, we took a hard hit, but now people are seeing this city, this state, we're back. We're back. Our subways, our streets are safer. People are starting to get that vibe again about what New York is all about, that exceptionalism that has defined us since our very beginning. And now we talk about the tourism, the people coming from around the world to visit us. Tourism is back to 85% of our pre-pandemic levels. That, my friends, is progress. And I'm excited about that. But now we talk about JFK being the front door to the rest of the world. I mentioned President Truman back in 1948. I'm sorry, 1948. He said, this airport will be the front door to the United Nations, that men and women from the far corners of the earth will land here in search of peaceful solutions for their countries. That was a bold statement, but it remains as true today as it did in 1948, that this is where people will step on to the tarmac or come into the terminal, hopefully with the opportunities to not just visit, not just have a great experience, but also those who come here as ambassadors and those who are part of the diplomatic corps, who come here to go to the United Nations, just as 75 years ago President Truman talked about, a place where they can seek peace. No better place to greet them than right here. That's why this is part of a larger story that is so significant. And now to have this continue in its legacy of being a world-class airport. We're New Yorkers. We deserve the best. We know that. And the rest of the world expects the best from us. So this, again, will be a gateway that rivals everywhere else. And that is why this project, Terminal 6, a $4.2 billion project, and here's the best part, my friends, 100% privately funded. I love that part. $4.2 billion. That is a sign of belief. That is a sign of confidence. That is so important to the rest of the world that, yes, we have that mojo back. We have the belief that this is money worth spending because there will be the return on this. And this is also part of what is already ongoing, as I mentioned before, our $18 billion overall construction transformation. We're going to have 1.2 million square feet of space. Terminal 6 will have 10 new gates, including 9 for wide-body jets. I've taken this airline all over the world. And it is incredible. We're going to have restaurants and little local businesses that have a chance to get a foothold here. Public art, recreation spaces. People will not know where they've landed, those who've come here for many years. And it'll be as vibrant as New York itself, this terminal. This is a showcase. This is an opportunity to tell that story. And also, having that seamless connection to Terminal 5 so you don't have to scramble. And I remember the very first terminal here. I came here in 1998 when it first opened. That was from a place, have you heard of this? Buffalo? Heard about Buffalo? Yeah, pretty good football next year, too. And I gotta love the Giants and the Jets, too. A lot of love for everybody. But Buffalo always felt a little bit, like that stepsister. You never had the same pride for a long time. It was a hard-hit city. But when JetBlue opened up service to Buffalo and made the connections between Buffalo and New York City and beyond, Alicia Eve's here, she knows what I'm talking about. She knows that experience. It just gave that jolt of confidence to a place like Buffalo and all the other communities that you service as well. So never forget what that means to the smaller markets who are now part of a bigger story. They feel that connection. I felt that profoundly back at that time. And so these investments here today change the psychology of communities as well. Not just what we're doing here, but the connections we're making elsewhere. So I'm so excited where people can come here, stay at that extraordinary TWA hotel. How visionary was that? And this terminal will actually be a destination itself. So I want to thank JetBlue again. Yes, you are New York's hometown airline. You can say that anywhere you want. You truly are. And I just want to thank you for all you've done here. I want to thank the Millennium Partners, JFK Millennium Partners, the Port Authority, the Redevelopment Council, extraordinary partners throughout this process. We got this far because of your vision, your willingness to just stand up through some tough times, make the hard decisions, and get the job done. And an important part of this, as I talk about the economic impact, The 30% MWBE participation is so critical to the success of not just this project, but to the success of the community around, a community that deserves recognition. Southeast Queens and other areas where people can count on those jobs from minority and women-owned businesses, and the emphasis on local hiring. How important is that? And thank you again for pushing that. And the local business opportunities, businesses like Creative Construction Services or Cambria Heights, Jetway Security right here in Jamaica. These are businesses that'll be forever changed. They go from a little guy to a big guy overnight when they get a contract at a place like this. That's how transformative this is. So I'm excited about this. And I just lastly want to say we love infrastructure. We love building. And isn't it great to have partners in Washington? Yes, Congressman Greg Meeks and others, but let's start with the President Joe Biden, who is making sure that we have money for infrastructure to do the building that was delayed and deferred for decades. And also to have the Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, and his great partner, Kirsten Gillibrand. We have the team that is delivering for all of us. And as governor, I don't take that for granted 1 second. Our delegation, Greg Meeks and others, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing because you understand the importance. But now as we turn the page on the pandemic and hope and believe that the last of the ravages of the social and economic impacts are over, I know that New York is going to continue to grow. Its vibrancy is unparalleled. And part of that is just in our DNA. This is what we do. We always reimagine, we build anew, we seize opportunities to do even better than those who came before us. This year we're celebrating some more milestones on the Erie Canal. Transformed upstate, made connections that people just thought were crazy. There's a whole story. It was actually devised by someone who was sitting in prison. Did you know that? I'll give you that whole story another day. But it is amazing. Someone sitting in prison had a lot of time on their hands, and they said, how can we connect upstate to New York City and transform what was a little village here to be the economic powerhouse for the planet? And we do things like that. So I'm born and raised on an Erie Canal Committee, so I know the great potential. We've overcome so much. The Spanish flu a century ago didn't stop us from expanding the subway system and building bridges. The Great Depression didn't stop us from building the world's tallest buildings, the Empire State Building. So even when we're emerging from World War I and II, we kept building LaGuardia, the Midtown Tunnel, Whitestone Bridge. And COVID didn't stop us. We'll be launching Grand Central Madison just in a couple of days. I'm so excited about this. And this project will be on that long line of transformative projects that others, a little more faint of heart, might have said, we can't do this. It's too big. It's too grandiose, especially during a pandemic. But I'm here to say, the people who have that DNA, that desire to be the best that the world has to offer, never gave up, never wavered, and that is why we are here after 14 extraordinary months of announcement after announcement after announcement to show we have the courage, we have the heart to continue pushing New York State forward. This project today is a symbol of that, and I could not be prouder to be here, and I want to thank everyone involved, starting with our next speaker, Rick Cotton.
Good morning. Today is a great day. It's a great day for JFK Airport. It's a great day for the region, for New York, for the Port Authority. Today we break ground on a brand new world-class International Terminal 6 at JFK. We stop talking, we stop negotiating, and we start doing. I'll let me repeat that. We stop talking, we stop negotiating, and we start doing. Investment dollars flowing from the private sector, shovels in the ground, union construction workers on the job, minority and women-owned businesses at work, local businesses from Southeast Queens on the job, the Southeast Queen community and its elected leaders involved and leading, and they're here today. And JFK, the Port Authority's largest airport, the region's largest international gateway, the nation's largest international gateway airport, is today fully and finally launched on the largest investment and transformation building program in its history and in the Port Authority's history. The fourth and final piece of the $18 billion transformation program, Terminal 6, is now firmly and finally in place. $18 billion, unprecedented, part of a $30 billion program by the Port Authority across all our airports, also unprecedented. And despite COVID, despite the challenges of COVID, despite having to negotiate 4 public-private partnerships, not once, but twice, you shouldn't try it. And world class, and I really hope that you will now believe that, because you didn't really believe it in the past. After the Port Authority's transformation of LaGuardia from worst airport in the country to receiving UNESCO's prize for best new airport in the world, which everyone can now see and experience with their own eyes, and the Port Authority's opening last month of a brand new world-class Terminal A at Newark Liberty Airport, open and operating, truly world-class. I recommend it. Go see it. Both these projects with record numbers of MWBE contracts, more than $2 billion at LaGuardia, more than $800 million at Newark. Both these projects, the number of contracts awarded to local businesses without precedent, not promises, delivered. So I commit to you that when the governor says that Terminal 6, which we break ground on today, will be world-class, it will be world-class. Governor, we will not disappoint you. So now on to thank yous. Thank you to the governor. These projects do not happen without support from our elected leaders. Governor, from your first days in office, in fact, JFK was the first topic of our first conversations. From your first days in office, you made it clear that the redevelopment of JFK Airport was among your highest priorities. That unequivocal support and your high expectations was critical to getting to this day. Port Authority Chairman Kevin O'Toole, without your support, without our working relationship, without your commitment to work together to get projects done on both sides of the river, we would not be here today. Every successful major project goes through near-death experiences. This was no exception. But Chairman O'Toole, you were always there to help us through difficult moments. And your colleagues on the Port Authority Board, several of whom are here today, Vice Chair Jeff Limford, Commissioner Gary LaBarbera, Commissioner Alicia Eve, the support of the board was extraordinary. Our private partner in Terminal 6, who I have to pay tribute and say thank you to, who is bringing more than $4 billion in private investment and extraordinary skill, creativity, and hard work to this project. We don't love you just for your money, but we do love your money. Thank you to George Casey, Chair of Vantage. Thank you to Helena Williams, CEO of JMP, and their colleagues at Vantage Airport Group. Thank you to Scott Reckler and his colleagues at RXR. Thank you to Henry Cisneros and Bill Thompson at American III, the MWB investor, owner, equity in JMP. And a special thank you to Robin Hayes, CEO of JetBlue Airlines, and his company, and his colleagues at New York's hometown airline. And thanks, by the way, for use of the hangar. We love what you've done with the place. Working and negotiating together over these many years through endless hours, today we have gotten here. Wow, thank you. And we will be working together, by the way, for the next 18 years, so 38 years, so think about that. And a very special acknowledgement and thank you to the JFK Community Advisory Council and to the Council's remarkable co-chairs, Congressman Gregory Meeks and Queensborough President Donovan Richards. Thank yous at these types of events can be pro forma, not here. Without Congressman Meeks and without Borough President Donovan Richards, we would not be here today. Supportive in critical ways, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, demanding and speaking frankly, holding us to high standards and to their high expectations. They are true partners and true champions of their communities. We are committed to meeting your expectations and those of the Council. We're grateful to the Advisory Council, and I would ask for members of the Advisory Council to stand up and receive a round of applause. And a big, big thank you to organized labor, to the workers who actually do the building, construct these terminals. We're in your debt, and thank you to Gary LaBarbera, who has been a key partner. Finally, I want to recognize the remarkable, relentless efforts of the Port Authority staff, the leaders of our negotiating team, Chief Development Officer Derek Utter and our Chief Operating Officer Huntley Lawrence, our Chief Financial Officer Libby McCarthy, Chief of Financial Planning Anna Carbagellino, General Counsel Michael Farbriarge, and Deputy General Counsel Amy Fisher, Director of our Airport Redevelopment efforts Jim Heitman, and key airport executives Charles Everett, Terry Rizzuto, Susan Warner-Dooley, and Jessica Force. So we're here today. The fourth and final piece of our JFK transformation falls into place. The Port Authority's mission here at JFK is to create one of the world's greatest airports that sets the gold standard, maybe the platinum standard, for what a global world-class hub and gateway airport should be, and an international airport that, as the governor said, New York and the region can be proud of. It is all fully and finally underway. Hallelujah and praise the Lord. A new world-class JFK is on the way. What a day. I'd now like to introduce a world-class leader and a friend, Chairman of the Port Authority Board of Commissioners, Kevin O'Toole.
I thought it was like the Miss Universe. You're going to call the wrong name there, Rick. I would not want to be on the other side of the negotiation table with this individual. I've seen Rick for 5.5 years. He is the most amazing collaborator, manager. We talk about the $30 billion in spend that we have in 3 airports. Think about it. No other person, no other unity, no other organization in America. You have 3 airports being done at this time. $30 billion. And we have one individual we are holding great hope for, who is making it all happen, and the most extraordinary public servant, and I mean this, I've said it for 5.5 years, the most extraordinary manager, the most extraordinary executive director, and they will, Governor, write a book about him. Rick Cotton. The best. Simply the best. I know, Rick, you tipped your hat to our 3 commissioners here, Commissioner Eve and my vice chair, my dear friend, Gary LaBarbera, all things Mr. Labor. We could not do it without you. We couldn't do it without the board. Thank you very much. You know, Governor talked about when President Truman came here in 1948, but she didn't say, who did he meet July 1st, 1948? The Governor, Dewey, his opponent in the election in 1948. You think about that. They met here July 1st when they came to this Port Authority asset, and they said, this is going to be the can-do airport for America, the gateway. A lot of personalities have come and gone through this airport. Governor talked about Idlewild. All right, that was the name of this place. Do you know why? This sat on a golf course that was called Idlewild. It was owned by rich folks, and they had nothing to do. They play golf with their idle time, true story. And somebody visionary said, they're going to make this an airport, and that's exactly what happened. Some history for you on a sadder note. So November 15th, 1963, John F. Kennedy comes here to this very airport, this very ground. A week before he was killed in Dallas on the 22nd of November. Immediately, the folks in this area, the Mayor Wagner of New York City, said we have to do something great to recognize that wonderful president, John F. Kennedy. Within days, they put in motion to rename this airport John F. Kennedy Airport. Within 6 weeks after a resolution was passed, it's exactly what happened. The community coming together and attaching a greatness to this area. Couldn't be more pleased today to be a small partner at the Port Authority, watching over what's happening here in this amazing, amazing region. Seeing what's happening here we talked to the folks, the birth in the last 75 years, Governor, is extraordinary. It's extraordinary. We talk about $30 billion. 30, 40 years from now, Governor, they're going to talk about you the way they talk about Truman and talk about Dewey, what they've done. You setting a flag here, Governor, creating 280,000 jobs coming out of here, making this the can-do airport. So right now, JFK is 6th in the country. So I want the airport folks to understand that. We don't like 6, Governor, right? So we got to take away, number 1 is Atlanta, and take away LAX, forget them, right? O'Hare, what? Get rid of them. Denver and Dallas. After all this is said and done, I suspect we're going to move up that list. You couple that number 6 coupling with 31 million folks coming out of here, 23 million coming out of Newark, and 15 million coming out of LaGuardia. That aggregate puts more passengers in this region in any other airport in the country. That's why we're here. So it is my honor to be a partner. The Jersey side. We're all one, Rick, you know that. We're one at the Port Authority. We couldn't be more pleased. This wouldn't get done without the unity at the Port Authority, which has been unprecedented the last 5.5 years. I thank the Vice Chair for his leadership. It is my honor to welcome Congressman. I want to say you're my congressman as well, even from the Jersey side. I marvel from aside, I'll tell you. So when the governor talks about working on the Hill, I worked as a legislative aide for a Democratic congressman many, many years ago, 1984. And Joe Minish, he was there for 22 years. He reminds me of somebody like you, who has done this so well, Congressman. Amazing. So from New Jersey, we welcome you. Thank you for your tireless work on the Hill and what you do here in this region. Please welcome Congressman Meeks.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see all of you. And for me, this is turning a dream into reality. Just February the 5th was my 25th year. Thanks to the people of Southeastern Queens, representing the people in the United States House of Representatives. And when I think of that, with the baton being passed to me from a great predecessor, one who always talking about building in Queens, the Reverend Dr. Floyd H. Flake. He passed that baton, and one of the things he says you're going to have a headache with is getting things done. Because at that time, what we were trying to get done was build a light rail that would connect JFK Airport to downtown Jamaica. And as Rick has said, any big job is a headache and difficult to get done. And people predicted that nobody would ride it, that it will be an eyesore to the entire community, that it would make so much noise that nobody could tolerate it. And today we see no one talks about it, makes no noise, it's not ugly, and yet it's one of the most heaviest ridden light rails in these United States of America. And what this project means, that if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. And thanks to the governor and Rick Cotton and those on the board of Port Authority, because one of the other things that I came in saying 25 years ago was that the Port Authority was not attentive to the people in the community, that we had problems, and for years there was problems between the community and the Port Authority. And over those 25 years, what I've seen is a change in a huge way. And again, I thank the Port Authority, its board members, its commissioners, Rick Cotton and Governor Hochul, for just that. It would not happen without a team. And I've got to also thank and ask them to just stand, from the Senate of New York, Joseph Adabo Jr., Assemblyman Clyde Vernell, Assemblywoman Alicia Hyndman, City Council member, my friend, Savinia Brooks Powers, and City Councilwoman, my friend, my councilwoman, Natasha Williams. And I know y'all was asked to stand already, but I want all of the members of the Community Advisory Board to stand again. And the reason why I wanted them to stand again, because your work has just begun. Rachel, the work has just begun. As indicated, the contracts are now all closed. The negotiations are over. And it's time to go to work. And when we put together and worked collectively to create the Community Advisory Board, it was because there needed to be a true partnership. As this is a joint partnership, public-private, it's public, private, and community partnership. It's all of us. And we've got to deliver. And there's a challenge to the community now. All of our chairs of the boards that we have, now we've got to come up with these projects that are important to deliver to the people that we represent, so that we can change their lives and make sure that as we live here, Yvette, as we live here and we grow, everybody has an opportunity to benefit. This is the economic engine. Now, I've got a chance to brag now, because I traveled all over the world. And once upon a time, and that's why this was important to me, while I traveled, you know, when they started talking about JFK, I kept hearing people saying, oh, I don't want to fly through JFK. And I would never say that I represent the Kennedy Airport. That wouldn't come out of my mouth next. I was quiet. But now I go all over the world, and I say to people, I want you to get ready for an experience of a lifetime, because not only are we going to move up from number 6 domestically, we will be able to compete with any airport, any place on the planet called Earth. We will be able to bring people in, because this is the gateway to the greatest country that this planet has ever seen. And so JFK is a hub airport. You know, I know I get in with these all airlines. At times they say, this is our hub airport, this is our hub airport there. Well, JFK is the hub airport to all airlines, because this is their connection to the United States of America. And Robin Hayes, I remember in the beginning with JetBlue, is our New York airline. And yet JetBlue has never let us down, because when you go, and in this very facility, not too long ago, we had thousands of individuals in here applying for jobs that JetBlue was creating, and immediately over 1,000 of them were put to work. That's delivering. Thank you, Robin Hayes. I can't close without saying thank you, Gary LaBarber. Working people, decent wages, pensions. That's how you make a difference. That's why we are better. That's why our country is what we are. You represent the essence of America, which is the working middle class that rises above the rest. It is your hard work and your steadfast, and we owe you a deep debt of congratulations and thank you. And I close with this, because what was very special with me in this project is that we talked about the 30%. And one of my first conversations with was that, Rick, I don't want just 30% in a small category. I don't want just 30% sometimes of just subcontractors. Because we're talking about $18.2 billion. We're talking about the opportunity to close the wealth gap with many individuals who have been locked out. And I said, the first thing we need to do is let's look at the top. Let's make sure that we have people who can invest and become equity owners in the airport. And here I worked with former Secretary Henry Cisneros and former Comptroller Bill Thompson, and they are equity in this airport. And we did it in the other terminals too. And why that's important is because they're from this community and they understand I'm going to come after them too if we don't get what we need in our community. That's what this is all about. So folks, this is a dream that has turned into reality, that is good for all. It will make a difference. It will make a difference in our community. It will make people stand up and small businesses to have an opportunity. It will put people to work. It will feed kids. It will create businesses that will feed people. It's those that have other businesses like cleaning services, restaurants, building right next door to the casino that we have. But none of this would happen also without my partner. An individual who has come in to office and said, Queens has got to get the money. And he has worked tirelessly across this borough, all parts of it. Now, we take extra credit in southeastern Queens because we know where he's come from. We know we helped bring him up. And we know that he has the ability to do all that he's doing. But he's bringing us all together in this borough. This borough is like the audience that I see, the most diverse borough in all of the United States of America. And to be able to get every community to work collectively together for the betterment of the borough takes a very special person. And I'm proud that that special person is my friend and my colleague and co-chair of the Community Advisory Committee, our borough president, the King of Queens, Donovan Richards.
Well, let's give it up for our congressman, who's truly been a mentor in every part of this. I came in as borough president, the height of the pandemic, and I remember this being one of the first projects that Rick and us discussed, really trying to get this over the finish line. So it's a great day to be in the world's borough, in the airport, where millions of folks fly out every year. And I also want to thank my good friend Robin Hayes. It wasn't easy getting here. We had some other governor here this week? One of the things I'm proud to say is New York is open for business, and Queens is open for business. And let me also add that although you are known as New York's airline, you are really Queens' airline. All right? Let's not forget that. To Governor Hochul, thank you so much. Every time you come here, you're just bringing Christmas. Christmas comes early when I see you. But I truly want to thank you for your partnership in getting so much done, your investments not only in our airports, but all of the investments you're putting in to strengthen our borough, from the Interborough Express. We know we're going to build a soccer stadium in Queens. We then have a casino, as our Congressmember alluded to, and I'll take all casinos, by the way, in Queens County. If you're going to gamble, and I don't gamble, I would say gambling in Queens is good for the economy of our state. I also add that, as I have Rick Cotton here, we still want to see a ferry to LaGuardia. We should probably look at JFK too, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But just last month, you rode the LIRR into the Grand Central Madison Station, Madam Governor, reducing travel times and connecting families across our city, but specifically our borough, to ensure that they have new opportunities. So we really, truly want to thank the governor once again for our partnership, and also launching permanent city ticket program for our residents as well right here in Southeast Queens. As it's been discussed today and talked about, JFK International Airport is a gateway to our region and a linchpin of our economy. And as we give the families of Queens and New York City the world-class airport they deserve, today is really a good day. Once again, I have to thank our partner, Rick Cotton. Thank you for the amazing work, and I know it hasn't been easy, the great work that you and Hirsch and your team are doing. I want to thank all the other partners, JetBlue, Vantage Group, Millennium Partners, because this is really a partnership. And this is a prime example of what public and private partnerships can achieve when we all work collectively together. So soon when we stand here in this gorgeous new airport, we'll all think and know what this fight was and why it was all worth it. Right, Bill Thompson? As you know, the aviation industry supports tens of thousands of jobs and generates billions of dollars in the economy right here in our borough. When I took office in the early days, our unemployment rate was somewhere around over 26%. Happy to say Queens' unemployment rate has dipped to 4.8% as of November. And when you think about why we're here today, it's because of true partnerships, government, elected officials, community coming together. We are the template of what the world and what the city can achieve when we all come together. And it's why we fought to keep JetBlue grounded in Queens. We wanted them to stay. Like all our partners here today, JFK Millennium Partners, I am so happy to be here to launch this groundbreaking. And Queens is truly leading the way into the future. As we complete this terminal, we will be able to once again compete globally. There will be no one who comes even close to competing with our borough in this airport. But to me, the biggest victory here is not simply what we would say is the gray infrastructure. As the governor alluded to, we need to put sexy back in infrastructure. It's really the commitment to ensuring that we can build the communities that surround this airport, the communities that have been hit hardest during this pandemic, from the Rockaways to Southeast Queens. Many of the issues that we see on the streets were exacerbated by this pandemic. But we make headway on that by building good union jobs. And as our Congressmember said, and as Gary LaBarber would agree, any job is not a good enough job in our borough. Good jobs are good jobs, and that's what we need in our borough. So I want to thank you, Gary LaBarber. And soon, as our co-chair alluded to, we will unlock these community benefits. And I know the community has been anxious on that. But signature is on the line. We are ready to go. So as our congressmember said, it's now time to get serious, and we've had these discussions with the port. I know our governor agrees as well. We met a few weeks ago to discuss the future of our borough, that now is the time to deliver. So as the co-chair of this redevelopment council, I want to thank Rachel and Dr. Grant, who will make sure all of these things happen. But I have to once again thank our community partners. We could not be more grateful to the governor, to the Port Authority. And what makes this such an exciting time for Queens is that we have both of our airports, LaGuardia and JFK, undergoing redevelopment projects, which will generate billions in economic activity and wages for our borough. So this is not simply about building back. You know, there's been some folks who said, well, let's go back to normal. Well, normal never worked in these airports for our people. Normal never worked for the communities outside of this airport. So today is truly about building back better. And this is significant, once again, for our borough. I look forward to celebrating additional milestones and welcoming in an influx of travelers to the greatest borough in the greatest city in the world. So once again, I want to thank Governor Hochul, to Rick Cotton, and Rick Cotton got religion. I think that was Greg Meeks and I. We brought him to church a few times. But we could not do this without you. I want to thank Hirsch as well. And finally, thank you to all of our fellow elected officials, community leaders, and other stakeholders who've made this project, which will be beneficial, possible. Let us all continue to work together to ensure a brighter future for JFK International Airport, and especially for the communities that surround it. With that being said, Queens get the money. And it now gives me great honor to bring up George Casey, the chair and CEO of Vantage Point Airport Group.
Well, good morning. What an exciting day. I obviously have prepared remarks, but I'm a little uneasy because on behalf of the JMP team, I think we heard a compliment from Rick. So it's a bit unsettling. I will say, Chairman, you don't want to be on the other side of the negotiating table from Rick and the rest of the Port Authority team. They do you all very, very well. So to take Rick's word, thank yous are very much due here. And from a sincere perspective on behalf of JMP, we want to thank you, the Governor, this morning. Congressman Meeks, Borough President Richards, Port Authority Chairman O'Toole, Port Authority board members, of course, Rick, Robin, and then our JFK Millennium Partners, Secretary Henry Cisneros from American III, CEO of RXR Scott Reckler, JFK Millennium Partners CEO Helena Williams, and the rest of the many valued partners that are joining us here today to mark this groundbreaking of Terminal 6 here at JFK. Governor Hochul, it's an honor to be playing this role for you and you having entrusted us with this very important infrastructure project. As you said, airports are the open door to the destinations they serve. Airports have the opportunity to deliver positive first and last impressions to travelers and the obligation to reflect the best of their communities. They also have the power to support growth of their communities through jobs and economic opportunities. Developing airports that deliver on these objectives is work we love to do, especially with a great group of partners. And that's what we have with JFK Millennium Partners, a committed team with Vantage, backed by Corsair, a principal investor in this project, along with American III, our minority equity infrastructure development partner, RXR, New York's leading real estate development firm, and of course, JetBlue, our airline sponsor and the host of today, along with AECOM Hunt, our design build partner in delivering this project. Our team brings a significant level of experience in New York infrastructure, along with airport development and management to this project. And importantly, the enthusiasm and passion to get it done, and I will say, Governor, the courage to get it done. Together, we will deliver a new International Terminal 6 that will transform the guest experience through intuitive, sustainable design, exceptional amenities, and artwork reflecting uniquely New York and its sense of place. And mainly, best-in-class operations for our airline partners. Most importantly, as mentioned, this project will create thousands of jobs for our community, 4,000 jobs, 1,800 of which are union construction jobs through AECOM Hunt and with the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York, led, of course, by Gary LaBarbera. Great cities and great states need great airports. And great airports are built by inclusive teams that offer a wide range of ideas, experiences, and perspectives. We need that talent and expertise of the local minority and women-owned businesses to create a terminal that is built by and for its communities. We are grateful for the support of the JFK Advisory Committee to communicate all of the opportunities for MWBEs and LBEs to access the economic benefits of this large-scale development starting now and for years to come. Congressman Meeks, Borough President Richards, we are committed to this. Henry Cisneros is committed to this, Scott Reckler is committed to this, Helena Williams is committed to this, and JetBlue is committed to this. Today's groundbreaking celebrates the strong partnership between the Port Authority and JFK Millennium Partners. And for that, we thank Rick and his team for getting us to this point. The partnership reflects the hard work, shared commitment, and ingenuity of our collective teams to advance this $4.2 billion terminal transformation. And the public-private partnership accelerates our delivery of an extraordinary piece of airport infrastructure that will power economic vitality in a sustainable way for the local Queens community, the city, and the state that Terminal 6 will proudly serve. More milestones await as we kick development into high gear. I'd also today like to acknowledge our other airline partners who will join us at the new Terminal 6, Lufthansa and ANA All Nippon Airways, with more airlines to come as we move forward. Finally, I'd like to recognize our JFK Millennium Partners team members, our project construction team, ready to move into full-scale development, and in fact, we are driving our first piles this week, and our operating team, which is already part of the JFK community through its management of Terminal 7. And to each of you here today, whose contribution have taken us from early engagement with the Port Authority and JetBlue, through project approval, financial close, and today's groundbreaking, a real measurement in courage. Thank you for joining us on this exciting journey, and I'll now turn it over to Robin. I don't know if we're departing, boarding, but over to you. And again, thank you for hosting it. And Governor, thank you for your vision.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm on time. You know, as the governor arrived, she said to me, Robin, just one thing, I've got a dinner reservation, so don't stand up there for hours and speak. So I don't intend to. I just want to give you all an amazingly warm welcome. We're so happy to have you in our hangar here at JFK. I want to actually start with a thank you to our technical operations team, who, when we do this, is incredibly disruptive for them. And they're now going to spend the next 2 days catching up with all the maintenance. But they're an amazing team. We have the best technical operations team in the business, so a shout out to them. Thank you. So Rick Cotton, where are you? You're right, it certainly wasn't easy. You know, Rick would call me up during this process and say, Robin, would you stop threatening me? And I'd say, Rick, you're threatening me. But where's Derek, by the way? Derek Utter. No, not Derek. Is he here? Where is he? Oh, he's on vacation. Guys, if you need a negotiator, man, Derek Utter is the man. Anyway, we got there. The Port Authority did an amazing job, and we're so proud to be where we are today. And, you know, the relationship that we've had with the Port Authority goes back since JetBlue's first flight. And the partnership that we have goes way beyond just this project here. And I'd like to thank Rick and all the professionals at the Port Authority for the amazing job you do every day. Keeping an airport running is not easy. and we can take it for granted, and they do an incredible job under some very challenging circumstances. So thank you to you and the team, Rick. So where's my friend, the borough president? Right there. We are Queen's hometown airline, for sure. I don't think there's anyone in New York who has done more to keep us here than the borough president. Anytime, there's a press rumor out there that we, might be looking at something else, he's on the phone to me, making sure that that's not the case. And, definitely during some of the more challenging moments of getting here, he was an amazing intermediary between JetBlue and the Port Authority to get it done. So thank you. You do an incredible job, and we appreciate you very much. Congressman Meeks, what can I say? Of course, I love all politicians the same, but if I had a favorite congressman, JetBlue's had truly no better supporter on all sorts of things. And, an airline sometimes creates a lot of complexity, and there's lots of issues that we have to go and explain. And the congressman has always been there for us, and he's very proud of his district and everyone that works in the district. And I think this is your third visit to the hangar since I've been CEO. So we had some of our new airplanes here. He came and looked around that. And then we had the big job fair a year ago where we hired 1,000 people in one day. By the way, that was an incredibly efficient experience for those of you looking to hire jobs. And so we were very grateful. We're very grateful for that. So, and also to George and Scott and Bill, all of our partners in JFK, the Millennium Partners. We're so happy to be part of that team, and we're going to just build a kick-ass facility. And I remember when you and Scott first appeared in our office to talk about and it just seemed so far into the future. But I couldn't be proud of your efforts to get this done. And again, thank you for your support. We're airline people. That's what we know, but you bring so much more expertise than that. And finally, I'd just like to thank all of the JetBlue team. I have the easiest job in JetBlue because I've just got an incredible team. And so many leaders have worked on this. It's taken quite a while, so some have actually left JetBlue. And some have left JetBlue and come back to the project. So Justin, welcome back. But to Lisa and Justin and Kevin and Doug and all of the team that have left this, and Renee and the team in legal, just a huge thank you. So we need this because JetBlue needs to grow. And what I said to the governor, we're working through a merger with Spirit Airlines right now to make JetBlue bigger. We're still going to be much smaller than those big 4 airlines out there. But what I promise is, and what I promised the governor, I promise here, once we get this merger done, we're going to be able to have more JetBlue airplanes flying to all sorts of airports in New York, connecting New York directly to all sorts of cities over the country. So we're looking forward to what would probably be the biggest expansion that we've seen in New York outside of JFK and LaGuardia history. So we're looking forward to that as well. So with that, I'd just like to thank, again, everyone for coming today, all of our partners. The governor made me keep it short, so I can't get to thank anybody else. But, the one thing that you don't want to see in a hangar is dirt. And when I came in this morning, I didn't know there was going to be dirt. But that is making me nervous. But it's Queen's dirt, so we love it. We love Queen's dirt. So I'm the last speaker. So we're going to go over and we're going to break ground with some beautiful, nourishing Queen's dirt. And to my fellow breaking ground people, if I can ask you to make sure the dirt stays in that framework that we spent a lot of money overnight building. Thank you very much. Let's do this.